Welcome to Lovin' Life's Journey DIY. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new to my channel, my name is Chantel and I love to do DIYs on a budget, Dollar Tree DIYs, and share some inspiration with you. Today I'm going to be doing some projects for your porch or patio, or some of them could even be used indoors. These are going to give you high-end looks for a very small budget. So let's jump in and get started.
I'm going to be making an indoor-outdoor lantern, and I'm going to be using one package of these wood shelves from Dollar Tree. I'll also be using this glass vase and one of these small glass jars. And you want to make sure that the small glass jar you choose will fit inside your vase, and also that the solar light that you will be using will fit inside the small glass jar once you remove that bottom stake part. I'm also going to be using 4 of these 12-inch dowels, as well as this wood block ornament, and all of these items so far have been from Dollar Tree. The exception of the one thing that's not from Dollar Tree is this wood knob that's flat on one side. I picked that up at Hobby Lobby in a package of like 8 of them. And I'll be using some black chalk paint. So I'm going to take my 2 wood shelves, and these are great because they already have guide holes placed for you. So I'm going to be using those pre-drilled holes, and my dowels are going to be fitting inside these holes. Now, they're not the same size. I wanted thicker dowels, so I am going to be drilling out the holes a little bit to fit my dowels. So I just found a drill bit that was the appropriate size for my dowels, and then I'm going to drill out the holes a little bit so that my dowels will fit inside the holes and I can glue them in the holes to secure them. Now, when I drilled my holes, I actually did not go all the way through. I went almost all the way through, but I felt like this would help the dowels to kind of sit better and not just push through. That would be easier to work with. And so I drilled pretty much all the way through, but just not quite. And then I used a piece of sandpaper just to sand everything down and make it nice and smooth. I removed the hanger from my little wood hanging piece, and I'm going to take a little bit of wood filler and just fill that hole on the end because I don't want that to show. And you can get wood filler at Dollar Tree, this in the little tubs, and actually I like the smaller containers better because I don't use it often enough and it usually just gets all dried out. Once that wood filler has dried, I'm just going to sand off the excess and make that nice and smooth as well. Now I'm going to take one of my wood shelves, and on the side that the holes are not drilled all the way through, I am going to glue on my little wood block right in the center, and I'm going to be using this super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree. This works great, and I'll also be using a little bit of hot glue to help secure that and help it to just hold while the super glue is drying. And then I'll take my little wood knob and glue that right in the center as well. Then I'm going to set that aside to dry for a little bit, and I am going to take my 4 12-inch dowels and just give them a coat of the black chalk paint. Then I'm going to take the wood piece that I glued the block and the wood knob on, and I'm going to paint the bottom side of this just because it's going to be so much easier to paint before my lantern is assembled. I'm not going to paint the top side of it yet, and that's just because I'm going to be filling those holes on the top, but I want to wait until it's assembled to do that. Then I'm going to take my other wood shelf and I'm going to paint both sides and all around the edges of this with the black chalk paint as well. Once this shelf has dried, I'm going to take my super glue wood glue and I'm going to put a generous amount inside of the holes where I drilled them out. And then I'm going to stick my dowels down inside of those holes and making sure that they are seated nice and straight in those holes. And it's okay if there's a little extra glue. The super glue is going to dry clear. I just try to get off any large blobs of glue if there are any. And since the little wood shelves did have holes that were pre-drilled all the way through, the glue is going to go all the way through those holes. So I just took a paper towel and just kind of cleaned up any excess glue that was on the bottom. Next, I'm going to use a strong adhesive that's good for glass. I like this Weld Bond, and I will link this in the description box below, but this is good for glass and metal and wood, and I've used it before, like on mosaics. It just works really well. So I'm going to put a nice coat of this on the bottom of my glass vase, and then I will be gluing that to the center of my wood piece, just centered in between all of those dowels. And the glue does look white now, but it will dry clear. I'm going to let this sit for a couple of hours and set up, and it's not going to be completely dry. It does take a while to completely dry, but it's dry enough that I can keep working with it now. And so I am going to put my top on the dowels, and here I'm just making sure that it all fits well before I put the glue in, just to see if I need to drill out any of my holes a little bit more to make it sit level, or if it just needs any tweaking. So I'm just checking that out, and then I'll go ahead and add my glue, the wood glue, to the holes in the top and put them on the dowels. So now I'm going to take my wood filler and go ahead and fill those little holes on the top. I didn't want to do it before because I didn't want the wood filler to get down into the holes where I had drilled them out and keep the dowels from going in nicely to those holes. So now that I have my dowels glued in, I'm going to go ahead and fill those holes. Once the filler is dry, then I can sand off the excess and then paint the top. Now I'm going to take this little solar light that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove that bottom stake. It just pulls right off. But once I take that off, then I have this little part at the bottom that is not great for standing on its own. So I found this little jar at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just remove the top of the jar, and then I'm going to set my little solar light down inside of this. I'm not going to glue it in because if my solar light quits working, then I can just replace it very easily. So then I'll carefully place that little jar inside my vase and put my solar light on top, and this is ready to go outside. And the reason I left the top of my lantern so high, and I used the 12-inch dowels and I didn't set the lantern top right on top of the vase, is so that I could set things inside the vase easily. I could change them out, and also if I'm using the solar light, the sun is going to get to it a lot easier. But I think this just looks great outside on my patio table, and if you wanted to use it indoors, you could just put like an LED candle in there and it would look beautiful indoors as well. Also, this cement looking planter is one that I created using a plastic planter from Dollar Tree. I will put the video link to that in the description box below if you want to see how I made that. It's one of my favorite planters and I have used it for probably 3 years now. For my next project, I will be using this little wooden birdhouse from Dollar Tree, and I'll be using one of the wood crates from the Crafter Square aisle that is about this same size as the birdhouse. I'll also be using various wood stems from Dollar Tree, but you could use various pieces of sticks from your yard. They don't have to be the ones from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using a couple of pine cones as well as just a piece of bark that I also got out from one of the trees that we cut down. I'm also going to be using some pieces of bamboo, which I am getting from the handle of this butterfly net that I picked up at Dollar Tree. So I'm going to be removing that plastic coating and using the bamboo handle. And I'll also be using just some plain Spanish moss. I'm going to be painting my birdhouse and wooden crate using this pretty green acrylic craft paint, and then I'll also be using some of the wood glue. So to start out, I'm just going to paint both my birdhouse and the crate using this green craft paint. I'm not going to paint the bottom of the birdhouse yet, and I'm not going to paint one of the ends of the wood crate because I'm going to be gluing those two together, and so you just get a better bond if you're just gluing the wood to wood instead of onto the paint. I did decide to go ahead and give the roof of my birdhouse a coat of brown chalk paint, and I'm going to be gluing some things on the top of the roof, but I just wanted to give it a more finished look, so I am going to paint it with the brown paint. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to paint my little wood crate. And again, like I said, I didn't paint one of the ends of the crate, and then I'm also not going to paint the inside of the crate. I did decide to paint around the rim of the top of the crate though, because that just gives it a really nice finished look. Since this is going to be outside, I am going to take both the birdhouse and the little crate and spray the painted surfaces using a clear matte sealer. So now I'm going to take my little birdhouse and I'm going to add a little bit of detail to the roof. I decided that I wanted to add some of these little wood pieces to the roof. These were some I found at Dollar Tree. They're called wood slices, but they're really more like dowels, but they were the perfect size for this. And so I'm going to use these, but you could use sticks or moss or anything that you wanted to embellish this with, or you could just leave it plain. I am using a combination of the wood glue and the hot glue to put these on just because it is going to be outside, and if you only use hot glue, when the sun heats that up, it's going to soften the glue and it may come apart. So I started at the bottom of the roof and I worked up toward the gable peak of the roof, and then I'm going to take one last piece of these wooden dowels, slices, whatever they are, and I am going to just put it through the hanger and glue it to the peak of the roof, and that's going to finish it off. Next, I'm going to add some wood glue to the end of the crate that I did not paint, and I'll add a little bit of hot glue as well. And then I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the birdhouse. So by now you are probably wondering, what in the world are you making? Well, this is going to be an insect house for my flower garden. It's good to have a place where beneficial insects can find a habitat, and so this is just a really cute way to provide that. So while that glue is drying, I am going to take my butterfly net and I am going to remove that plastic wrap that is around the bamboo handle so that I can use that bamboo. And this was really easy. I just took a razor knife and just slit the plastic and then pulled it off. It came off really easily. And then I'm going to cut my bamboo handle into pieces that are the length of the depth of my little crate. So I'm just marking that, and I am going to use these miter shears. These are one of my favorite tools. I wasn't sure that these would work for this, and they cut through this bamboo just super easily, and so I was really impressed. I love this tool. If you don't have one, you should get one. I'll link them in the description box below. So now I'm going to start arranging all of my miscellaneous kind of natural things into my little box. And the reason I am doing this is because this will provide like a natural habitat for the insects to get into, and the various shapes of things allows all the different crevices and different size holes and things, places where bugs like to hide. And so obviously lots of people don't like bugs, but there are beneficial insects. I love ladybugs because they eat all of the little aphids that get on your rose bushes and on your peonies. And so they do have a purpose, and so providing a habitat for the beneficial bugs in your garden can be a good thing. So I'm just going to start kind of layering my different types of things in my crate. I am not gluing them down. I don't want to put any glue in here. I want this all to just be natural things here in this area. And so I'm going to try and pack it pretty tightly so that everything just kind of holds itself in. And so I'm kind of squishing those two pine cones together and then forcing them down into the crate. And I did put a few sticks underneath them to kind of hold them out toward the front. And then I just continue to build and layer all of my different pieces of wood and bark and pine cones into the little crate. This was actually very therapeutic. It was kind of fun. It was like putting a puzzle together. And so just finishing up with some of those bamboo pieces because they have the hole through them naturally, and adding some of that bark. I'm also going to just take my Spanish moss and fill the top of the birdhouse with that, just to kind of hide the unpainted part in the back of the birdhouse, and then also to give some natural elements to the top of the birdhouse as well. And then I did decide that those three larger pieces of wood needed some holes in them for bugs to get into as well. So I decided to just take my drill and drill out a few different size holes in them. And I just think this looks so cool, and what a fun way to provide a little habitat for the beneficial insects that help out in your garden. I hung this outside by my rose bush, and I just love how natural it looks, and it's just super cute. If you are enjoying this video so far, if you would do me a big favor and hit that like button, it really helps my channel and helps other people to see this video as well. Okay, so let's talk patio pillows. I was in Fred Meyer and they had these patio pillows on sale for $14.99 each. And so regular price was $24.99 a piece. So if you wanted just 2 pillows for your patio, you're going to pay a minimum of $30 for those. So I went over to the linen section and they had a whole bunch of things on clearance. So here's a hack for you. Look for linens such as placemats or fabric napkins that you can use without even having to cut the fabric. You can make pillows out of those. Or you can use things like table runners or tablecloths and cut your fabric. But I prefer to get the ones with the finished edges that are just the size that I need, such as placemats or napkins. So I found this pattern called Springtime Blossom. I really loved that, and I thought they just had the tablecloth, but then I found cloth napkins, and they were on sale for $3.97 for 4 napkins, which means I can make 2 pillows out of these 4 napkins. They're the perfect size and the perfect price. So I'm going to take 2 of my cloth napkins and I am going to first iron the creases out of them, and then I am going to put them together in a pillow. I am not going to show you how to sew them. If you have a sewing machine and you like to sew, you can certainly sew them. I am going to be putting these together with hot glue today. If you live in a climate that is really hot, you probably don't want to do this outside for outside pillows, just because the heat will soften your hot glue and they probably won't stay together well. But just for ease of demonstration, I'm going to show you how to put these together, and then I will be probably sewing some for my patio, but I just wanted to show you how you can do them with hot glue. And you can get hot glue sticks that are for fabric, so that's something to keep in mind too. But I'm going to put my 2 napkins together, the right sides together, and then I'm going to glue around 3 of the edges, just making sure that I get them even and get plenty of glue so that I don't have any gaps or openings. And then on the 4th side, I did glue in just a couple of inches on each side. I just find that this kind of is helpful when I go to seal up that last side. So then I'm going to turn this inside out, pushing my corners out as much as I can to get as square of a piece as I can. And then I am using a pillow that we had left over from one of my daughter's old bed sets that's not being used, and I did make sure that the yellow is not going to show through my fabric, so I'm just going to leave this intact. So I just kind of fluff it up, and then I am going to put it inside my pillowcase. Then I'm going to use some clips from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just tuck the edge in and clip it so that it will hold and be easier to hot glue the last side closed. These clips from Dollar Tree are amazing. I have used them for so many different types of projects. So if you see those at Dollar Tree, be sure to grab some. And I don't have any on hand right now, but I think I am going to spray this with a Scotch Guard or fabric protector since they're going to be outside. But I love how this just brightens up our patio furniture. Since our furniture is just gray, it just adds a pop of color. And for just a few dollars. For my next project, I'm headed into the thrift store. I am looking for a candle holder, and I found this one. This is pretty much what I'm looking for, and it's only $5.99. So this one is definitely coming home with me. So I am going to clean this all up. It was pretty dusty, so I'm just wiping it all down and getting it clean. And then I went to Walmart and I picked up this Nantucket blue spray paint. I got this because it matches those fabric napkins that I bought to make those patio pillows with. And so this is going to be perfect. So I'm just going to give this whole thing a couple of light coats of this paint and letting it dry in between each coat, and I will flip it over and make sure I get in all of the little areas, but I'm just going to coat it real well with this Nantucket blue. I picked up these solar stake lights at Family Dollar. They were $3 a piece, and I thought they were so pretty, and you can just remove that stake and then they just sit, and I thought how pretty just to sit these solar lights on this candle stand. And so that's what I did. And I know this, $3 a piece for the solar lights makes this a little more spendy, but just a really pretty centerpiece. I mean, my patio table's small, but on a larger table this would be really, really nice. And if you aren't able to find these type of stake lights, you could use a little small jar from Dollar Tree and one of their regular solar lights, and just remove the lid from the jar and put that solar light inside, and it looks just as nice.
So you can totally find some nice flower pots at Dollar Tree for $1.25, and I highly recommend looking there for pots. However, if you want something unique and different, you're typically going to pay quite a bit of money, usually around $20 for a pot. So here is a really cute idea that I like, and I found these two colanders at stores like TJ Maxx or Ross. I believe I got both of these at Ross. And this large metal stainless steel colander, $6.49. I think that's a great deal. And this really cute one, I love this color. This one was $6.99. And so for less than $7, you can have a really cute pot. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to plant in mine. I just picked up these cocoa liners from Dollar Tree, and this one fits basically right down inside of the large pot. And so I'm just going to use that the way it is. And for this one, I'm going to take the liner and I'm going to cut a little section out of it because it is too big to fit in this pot. And I'm using an old cruddy pair of scissors because these are a little bit hard to cut. And the reason I'm putting these in is this will help hold the dirt in my colander and also help maintain moisture. So I'm going to see if I need to cut it a little bit more. I think I do. Yes, definitely do.
So not only did I cut the slit down the side of the liner, I also cut off a strip around the top of the liner just to make it fit inside the colander without it sticking up above the rim. So now I'm just going to add my potting soil in and plant my plants.
Look how adorable those are. Wouldn't these be cute inside the house in your kitchen for house plants? But I think they're super cute to put outside as well.
Also, if you have just a plain doormat and you would like to dress it up for the seasons or holidays, but you don't want to spend a bunch of money on getting a nice new doormat for every season or holiday, here is a hack. Just pick up an inexpensive, smaller doormat that you can find at Family Dollar or Dollar Tree, and you can usually get these pretty inexpensive. I paid $6 for this one. They had a good variety. These were at Family Dollar, and by themselves they would just be too small and pretty unimpressive, but just by layering them on top of your regular mat, it really adds a lot to your doorway and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Let me know in the comments which of today's projects was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe for lots more budget-friendly DIYs. And set your notifications by hitting that bell. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day.